All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. I could see how that bear, if you were listening on headphones, it might actually scare the pants off of you. And depending on where you're at, that might not be a good thing. But how you doing? Good to see you. That is the eternal question. Will the computer work? It's 100 degrees in Los Angeles. Super hot. Let's start with that. The bear scares the crap out of you every time. And it's working. No, I don't really want to scare people. Yeah, it gets your attention. Well, then that's working, I guess. Where is my... Dang it, where is my show again? So weird. All right. You guys are coming in here for a Friday show. And that's great. The whole weekend is going to be just silly hot here. I don't know. We actually may have to move locations in the middle of the show. If things really go south, I might have to move. It's already, I can see that my computer is slow. Dr. John Campbell. Yes, he is a good one. Hottest day of the heat wave is here. How to stay safe. This is today. This is about Los Angeles. It's today is the hottest day of the heat wave. It's a scorcher across the Southland. Expect to see some eye-popping numbers. They were saying here, yesterday the forecast was 108. Today it's 107. Who knows? It just, when it gets that hot, it's just hot. And it's going to be about 4 more days of this until next week when it thankfully, finally cools down and starts to act like fall a little bit. Oh, you want happy news, do you? Okay. Could get as hot as 103 degrees in downtown LA. That's very rare. 105 degrees in Anaheim. Today's peak highs for San Fernando, or San Hernando, if you just want to shorten it, will range from 108 to 119 degrees. So it's just stupid hot. Inland Empire, which is desert, Coachella Valley. Deserts are up above 100 Inland Empire is 114, Coachella 117. So it's just getting just brutal out there. Or over here, where I'm at. What's up, Rockfin people? How you doing? Go Unity Party. That's funny. Well, how many alternative journalists did I hear suggest that there was going to be a Unity ticket? And it, not officially, but it's like the Democrats are going Republican and the Republicans are going Democrat. I'm sorry, pardon me. The Republicans have the endorsement of two Democrats now. And basically have joined their transition team. Tulsi and RFK Jr. have joined their transition team. So the Democrats are joining the Republicans. The Republicans are supporting the Democrats, the anti-Trump Republicans, or the ones that are like, we're just the sane people. So it is. You know, no matter who you vote for, it's a unity ticket. Right. Anyways, that was kind of a roundabout. Yeah, 114 is ridiculous. Give me one. Okay, let's see if we can move forward without too much interruption. Yeah, so what's happening is kind of like a heat dome effect. There is absolutely no breeze to speak of right now, but what I've noticed happening the last 2 days is that it'll kind of cool down at the end of the day when the sun is going down. But then as soon as the sun goes down, the breeze stops and everything just heats back up. It was 101 degrees here at like 9 o'clock at night last night. 101, and it was, when I went to bed, it was 95. 95 degrees. The low was like 84, something like that. It was just brutally hot all night. You heard my show at work yesterday? Okay, thanks. Cool. Yesterday's show was a bit of a disaster, but it still happened, so that's okay. We're live on Rumble too. What's up? Anybody watching on Rumble? We would love to see you on Rumble, and if you chat on Rumble, it comes on through into my StreamYard, so I can see you. Sam's over there holding it down, but Rumble's a perfectly fine place to go. No, we don't have. Luckily, well, We don't really have the humidity that they do. I can tell you right now, though, I'm very warm. Okay. Here's the extreme weather report from Yellow Dot Studios. I think this is Adam McKay. In fact, I know it is. Of Don't Look Up fame. But they put these kind of weekly I don't know what you want to call it, extreme weather conglomerations together. And this is the extreme weather report from September 5th, 2024. But they show, it's just an amalgamation is what the word I was looking for. Hold on. Can I get some sound? What happened here? Oh, here we go.
విజయవాడ బస్ స్టాండ్. Good stuff from Yellow Dot. Here, more from the Yellow Dot Twitter account. And I hate when I catch so many things right before the show, then I end up not having really enough time to cover all the things I want to, I originally intended to cover, but we'll do our best today. Half of Americans say climate change isn't impacting me. Hardy har. The same Americans. It's so hot. Food prices are so high. They doubled my insurance bill. My kid is sick again. They canceled school because of the heat. Wait, the power is out? I mean, I don't think that all these things are necessarily climate related. I think a lot of them are bad fiscal policy related, and also, just bad policy in general. And also the deteriorating economic, social, political situation, right, is all, this isn't, anyways, it's not all due to climate change, but, plenty of it can be. The deteriorating environment is a public concern, but Americans misunderstand their contribution to the problem. From Katie Surma, Inside Climate News, a global survey suggests 88% of people are worried about the state of nature. But such polling says nothing about where those issues sit among competing concerns like immigration and the economy. Well, and people aren't, I don't need that. Most people are very or extremely concerned about the state of the natural world, a new global public opinion survey shows. That's good. Roughly 70% of 22,000 people polled online earlier this year agreed that human activities were pushing the Earth past tipping points, thresholds beyond which nature cannot recover, like the loss of the Amazon rainforest or collapse of the Atlantic Ocean's currents. The same number of respondents said the world needs to reduce carbon emissions within the next decade. Just under 40% of respondents said technological advances can solve environmental challenges. Well, Sounds like there's some smart people out there. The Global Common Survey, conducted for two collectives of economic thinkers and scientists known as Earth for All and the Global Commons Alliance, polled people across 22 countries, including low, middle, and high-income nations. The survey's stated aim was to assess public opinion about societal transformations and planetary stewardship. Interesting. The results released Thursday highlight that people living under diverse circumstances seem to share worries. They share worries about the health of ecosystems and the environmental problems future generations will inherit. But there were some regional differences. People living in emerging economies, including Kenya and India, perceive themselves to be more exposed to environmental and climate shocks like drought, flooding, and extreme weather. Makes sense. That group expressed higher levels of concern about the environment, though 59% of all respondents said they are very or extremely worried about the state of nature today, and another 29% are at least somewhat concerned. Americans are included in the global majority, but a more complex picture emerged in the details of the survey conducted by Ipsos. Roughly 1 in 2 Americans said they are not very or not at all exposed to environmental or climate change risks. 1 in 2. Those perceptions contrast sharply with empirical evidence showing that climate change is having an impact in nearly every corner of the United States. A warming planet has intensified hurricanes battering coasts, droughts striking middle American farms, and wildfires threatening homes and air quality across the country. And climate shocks are driving up prices of some food like chocolate and olive oil and consumer goods. Americans also largely believe they do not bear responsibility for the global environmental problems. Only about 15% of U.S. respondents said that high and middle-income Americans share responsibility for climate change and natural destruction. Instead, they attribute the most blame to businesses and governments of wealthy countries. Yeah, well, sure. Those survey responses suggest that at least half of Americans may not feel that they have any skin in the game when it comes to addressing global environmental problems, according to Jeff DeBelko, a professor at Ohio University and expert in environmental policy and security. Translating concern about the environment to actual change requires people to believe they have something at stake. It's troubling that Americans aren't making that connection. And they're also being, they're distracted, and they're also being, informed from many points that things are not what they seem, right? While fossil fuel companies have long campaigned to shape public perception in a way that absolves our industry of fault for ecosystem destruction and climate change, individual behavior does play a role. Of course it does. Americans have some of the highest per capita consumption rates in the world. And on and on and on. But what made me gravitate towards this article, or I found, funny, or at least indicative of the state of where people are at. I mean, I was listening to one of my favorite podcasters yesterday. Unfortunately, most of my favorite podcasters are staunch climate change deniers, or at least skeptics. I don't know why that works out or how that works out, but it's just true. But it was hilarious because I was listening to one of my favorite podcasters, going into a whole thing about how climate change was fake, false. There's no evidence for it. And literally 3 minutes later, they had a guest come on the show, and he's like, well, it's abnormally hot here. I was like, okay, like you didn't connect. And not only, let's zoom out from just today or this, this week in California where it's abnormally hot. Let's zoom out to all the places where it's abnormally hot all around the world. Let's zoom out to the fact that it's not just 2024. Let's zoom out to the fact that the last 5 years have been the hottest 5 years in history, right? Like all of those data points can't be connected for a lot of people. it is getting hotter. There is absolutely disruption in the ecosystem. Major, from extreme weather, storms, drought, etc., heat, to the lack. There's no insects. Insects have disappeared. There are agricultural shocks happening right now and coming down the pipe or the pike, whichever way you want to say it. And for the people that can't put these things together and understand that this is the thing that's happening, it's frustrating to witness. But, I'm waiting to hear, I'm awaiting the day, and it's probably going to come. There will be a day when a lot of these people that I listen to and enjoy their commentary on a lot of other subjects, but not necessarily climate change. But we're going to get to that day when they go, it's like how far down the road can you keep, pushing this message out before it starts to become just like insanely obvious that things are different and they're probably not going to go back. There's probably not going to be a natural variation happening anytime soon, at least not in the next 1,000 years. There will be a moment, there will be a time when all of these people go, well, at least internally, they're going to be like, well, dang, sure does look like it's stacking up to be climate change, but I can't admit that to my listeners, or even myself, because I've been just going so hard at this for so many years. It's the dilemma of people being wrong and not wanting to admit that they're wrong. And digging their heels in even more, entrenching, because they just cannot, have the egg on the face. They cannot eat the humble pie. They cannot, accept defeat. And you see that there's a lot of cases of this, all over the place. But anyways, that's human. It's a human thing to do. It's understandable. What's the quote? What's the famous quote? It's easier to fool someone than to convince them they're being fooled. Oh, this same podcaster, without revealing too much about them, had to leave where they lived because their energy bill was so high. Because it was so hot. Their energy bill was so high, they had to leave. But there's no climate change, but go deep on a story about how there's no climate change. I mean, it's just like, okay, this is happening to people right now. I mean, I hear people right now. I'm talking to people out and about in the world, and they're like, this is insane. This is crazy. I'm seeing posts on Facebook or wherever. They're like, this weather sure is insane. And then they go, I don't know if I can afford to run my AC. I'm afraid to see what my AC bill is going to be next month. But I got to turn it on because it's 107 degrees and I just cannot function in this heat. We're there right now. we are there right now. We are Ministry for the Future, and we're a stone's throw away from that situation. But I just thought that just tickled me. That just tickled me. This person that had to leave their home because their energy bill was too high explained to somebody that it was abnormally hot after going into an article saying that climate change was false. I was like, all right. You can't even. That's an interesting one there. Okay. And these disseminators of information have an effect on people. I'm not saying that, they shouldn't be able to say that, or they shouldn't, this is far from me saying that people can't say or think the things they want to think. But you're I'm just saying, think about the fact that you're profoundly influential. And then there is a responsibility for that on some level, even if it's just personal. Jimmy George just turns on his garage air conditioning. I wish I could turn on my air conditioning in my garage, at least for the moment that I'm doing I actually don't have any air conditioning, and it's fine. I can deal, but like I can't work out. I can't do any recording today. It's too hot. I can't record any music today. It's too hot. If I could turn on the AC just in here for a few hours and do some work, I would do it. But it just does. I don't have it. I would totally do it. It's just not happening. So, I have to do other things. It's fine. I arrange my life around I try and just arrange my life around what's going on, the weather. And it's okay. We were talking about BLM deforesting. Hold on, my door just to my studio. I had it open and I have the fan on, but the door just closed. And I can already feel it heating up in here real fast. Hold on. Guys, give me just a moment while I open the door so I can just keep the temperature at least somewhat. All right, we're back already. The BLM, Bureau of Land Management. Thanks for a devil's therapist for sending this to me. A map of the BLM's new Western Solar Plan. All these green areas are now open to solar. This is like Utah. Utah, Idaho, California, Nevada, etc. And they're going hard on the solar, guys. This is how they're going to fix the climate change. Fix it for good. And then we're going to read a little bit about this. The plans for Solar Rising. And this is surely going to save the planet. The Bureau of Land Management on Wednesday took a major step towards boosting the rollout of utility-scale solar power on federal lands across the West. BLM released a proposed update to its Western Solar Plan adopted during the Obama administration in 2012 that would add 5.4 million acres in Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Washington State, and Wyoming to the list of federal lands that the Bureau has evaluated and deemed suitable for commercial scale solar development applications. Commercial scale projects proposed within these priority areas, all of which would be within 10 miles of existing or planned transmission lines that have a capacity to carry at least 100 kilovolts of electricity, would be subject to a streamlined permitting process. Listen to this. because the Bureau has determined that they have high solar power potential and minimal conflicts with wildlife and plants. It's kind of interesting. Anyways, in total, the updated plan identifies a total of 22 million acres that would be open for project applications. This would not only be in the 5 additional states, but also in the 6 states in the 2012 plan: Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, and Utah. Anyways, they're planning on adding 100,000 megawatts of electricity over the next 20 years. Enough to power tens of millions of homes. Projects proposed within the priority solar application areas identified in the updated plan are not guaranteed approval. But updating this plan will facilitate faster and easier responsible permitting. That's code. Responsible permitting means irresponsible permitting, right? In priority areas, and improve consistency in processing rights of way for utility scale solar projects. Laura Daniel Davis, the Interior Department's acting deputy secretary, said during a call with reporters Wednesday, simply put, the updated Western Solar Plan will create the foundation for solar development and conservation on public lands into the future. Daniel Davis also announced during the call that several proposed large-scale solar energy projects had reached regulatory permitting milestones. So basically, they're streamlining the permitting process. They don't want any pesky lawsuits, or they don't want people protesting. They would just want to make sure this goes right on through, right? BLM has made updating the Western Solar Plan a priority, with the overall goal to guide the industry to develop commercial scale projects away from the lands with sensitive natural, historical, or cultural resources by providing a streamlined permitting process for projects in areas that the agency believes are most suitable for solar. A plan would both speed up permitting, because BLM had already evaluated the cumulative impacts of developing in these areas, and potentially avoid legal and administrative challenges from groups or individuals that can stall or even kill proposed projects. There you go. And the operative word is commercial. People want and need energy. We're going to provide that energy. It doesn't matter whether it comes from burning fossil fuels or burning fossil fuels to make solar panels, whichever you like. Burning fossil fuels to truck the solar panels over to the spot and erect them. Burning fossil fuels to deliver, to create the power lines and deliver the, It's all about when people are going to need that energy when it gets super hot and they have to turn on their AC and everything is going to work just fine when it's super hot and they turn on their AC. Even more, here's even more silliness here. Woo, guys, it's getting toasty in here. This show, we'll see how far along we can get in this show. I can tell you the temperature is rising quickly in here. Steve Austin posted this. Global heating could raise potential for offshore wind power. Heating of 4C could increase potential offshore wind energy by an average of 9% by the end of the century. 4C. So how's that for a headline? The temperature that would wipe humanity and probably a lot, most of the animal kingdom off the face of the earth will be good for wind power. So, anyways, the jokes write themselves, I guess. Just so slappy. All right. I'm going to try and do a few things more before I have to leave the place. Guys, if you like this show, coming to you for free 99 every single day, Monday through Friday, every single weekday, and you want the show to keep on going, it really does need your financial support. If you want to support this show in a financial way, there are links below every video platform that I'm on in the description box. There are links to support the show. Venmo, Cash App, Zelle. There's coffees. There's Patreon. There's all kinds of ways to support the show. Pick your poison. You can also super chat or super Ray, and I think I got a super Ray here from Tor. Thanks, Tor. Tor hit me with a 20 on Rockfin. Thank you. Appreciate you, man. Be like Tor and contribute to the show. So many of you already do, and you know who you are, and I thank you for supporting the show. We're going to move into some news, other news. Let's see what we got here. Revolutionary Blackout Network. Always does great stuff. Free speech trial of the century. The Biden administration. Do you guys remember the Uhuru members in St. Louis who were arrested for basically just saying anti-establishment type stuff, but they were literally arrested for spreading what the government said was spreading Russian, being tools of Russian disinformation. And the trial is still ongoing. And this is a wild case because there's no, I don't know that they're proving that they have, any ties to Russia. This comes on the heels of yesterday, a huge story coming out about Russian influence in the right-wing media, but it's the tactic of smear, right? Smear first, the smear campaign. I think Nancy Pelosi laid it out for people. It's an age-old tactic of smearing first, right? Accusing, running with that accusation as quickly downfield as you can. Maybe even arresting people, maybe, whatever it is, going through the motions of legal actions against people. And then they have to prove themselves innocent after that. But this is the tactic. So anyways, let's listen to Nick and explain what's going on with this rather short video.
The Biden administration is pushing to send 3 black activists to prison for 15 years for actively opposing his wars. The DOJ is accusing the Uhuru 3 of pushing Russia propaganda because they advocate for peace and for global coexistence. If advocating for peace is pushing the propaganda of your enemies, then you are the bad guy. This is the free speech trial of the century. Even if everything the United States is accusing the Uhuru 3 of doing, they have the right to do so under the First Amendment. Sowing discord in American politics is not a crime. You only believe so if you are a fascist. The DOJ claims the Uhuru 3 only believe what they do because it was paid and coerced by the Russian government. What an insult. Black Americans don't need Russia to convince us that the United States is a corrupt, criminal, warmongering country. Take it from me, I don't need Vladimir Putin to convince me that genocide Joe Biden is evil. There is a long history of the DOJ going after black activists and radicals for being too critical of the United States foreign policy. This is exactly why black radicals was warning against Russiagate from day one. It was obvious that Russiagate was created in order to create a fascist crackdown that would impact black Americans first. Notice how the free speech right is completely silent on the free speech trial of the century. The fraudulent free speech right never actually cared about free speech. They just wanted to say racial slurs on social media. And the progressives like Bernie Sanders, AOC, hell, the entirety of the progressive media apparatus refuse to cover this because they don't want the supporters to know that they support an outright fascist political party.
Yep. Good stuff. And all that is true. And it's the precedent is frightening, and it seems to be effective, right? There are still people out there that are like, if you just smear them with the whole Russian op thing, they just run with it. Still people that believe in Russiagate. And what he said at the end, the important thing that he said at the end, well, he said, it's insulting to think that black people need Russia to tell them, what they already know, right? And that was the whole thing about Russiagate was Hillary Clinton lost and had a challenge from both Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump because they were exposing the power structure. They were exposing truths, right? And what they had to do, and they did this, effectively calling anybody who was, even Jill Stein, Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, anybody who was effectively anti, rah-rah, the power elite, anybody who was exposing the deep state or whoever for what they were, the oligarchs for what they were, they smeared them with being Russian agents. And people responded to these messages because they knew it was true, not because they were being misled by Russian disinformation. And that I think really hinged on people being so, creating the boogeyman of Donald Trump and literally just unhinging people's minds about, thinking clearly around where you get your information, what information is true and correct, and how, the brain scramble was very, very effective. But at the same time, a lot of people are waking up to what's going on. I still see people that are very asleep, but I see more people understanding the real disinformation coming from the intelligence agencies that feed all of these concocted ideas and stories and whatnot to the media and, through the government. People are realizing that, that fake news is real, that, don't believe half of what you see, right? Don't believe half of what you read on the internet or hear from CNN or Rachel Maddow. People are beginning to understand it. They don't like that. That's why they're doing it again to Tim Pool and Benny Johnson and these other right wing. They're constantly doing it, smearing Russell Brand or arresting the Uhuru 3. They're doing it all the time. Arresting Richard Medhurst. They are constantly cracking down on the people that are trying to give you, a complete picture of what's going on, a more complete picture of what's going on. Well, maybe they need Trump again, Gene, in order to really just completely just do the job, like finish the job on the American public, right? If Trump is elected again, they'll have the juice to really start cracking down on people, right? If Trump is elected again, it'll be open season on social media platforms, you know? It'll be high time we had a digital ID to get into the, to get onto the internet. Anyways. Here's something good from Whitney Webb. Who is also pointing out, this is another prong of the free speech issue, which is basically AIPAC / Israel controlled media people, and yes, Salt Lakers, yes. AIPAC controlled media and politicians also, running downfield with the idea that people who are anti-acceptable narrative are anti-Semitic, right? And we really have to, free speech is great and stuff, but there's a limit. Whitney Webb says this is proof that no matter who wins in November, let's wait till this gets on screen. Hold on. Guys, it's getting slow, so I might have to sign off here. I can't really get into... There we go. This is proof that no matter who wins in November, both candidates will move to criminalize criticism of the state of Israel as anti-Semitism, and that I think they already do that a whole lot. The First Amendment be damned. Alex Karp, backs Kamala and Biden's top intel chief, who will probably stay on for Kamala, has major ties to Palantir. For Trump, he is backed by several Palantir execs and co-founders and has vowed to criminalize nonviolent protests against Israeli policies and wars. Under Trump, U.S. government contracts with Palantir exploded, and Biden and Kamala also expanded its influence even more. This is the uniparty doing uniparty things. Criminalizing criticism of a foreign nation that is currently committing genocide with the use of Palantir's AI is so dangerous to the First Amendment. You think more in the free speech camp would call it out, especially with de facto CIA front Palantir being so involved on both sides. But alas, free speech for most, including its loudest supposed advocate, seems to be only for speech they want to hear. And this is Palantir CEO Alex Karp, whose company's data mining software helps the IDF killing machine to select targets, including 18,000 innocent children, says we need to scrap the First Amendment to target anti-Semitism in America. Okay.
Almost everyone in America is horrified by the dramatic rise of anti-Semitism.
Wrong, Alex. We're horrified by the killing in Gaza. We're horrified by the AIPAC-backed, the neo-Nazism that has taken over Israel and reared its ugly head. We're horrified by the colonialism and the mass slaughter. That's what we're horrified. We're not horrified by anti-Semitism, dude. Let me just want to correct him on that.
Reaction it deserves. And most Americans would like to see leadership on the Middle East, on bringing hostages. home, especially American hostages, and clear statements about discrimination, even discrimination against Jews. I feel, though,
and that
I think part of the reason why leaders need to stand up
this is not a small minority. Let me correct the record on
very,
that.
very small sized impact.
Let me correct the record on
simply
that.
Because
this is a majority of people. They're trying. This is just manufacturing consent, right? He's saying that most Americans are horrified. No, they're not. They're horrified by what Israel is doing. That is the actual. He's just playing a gaslight game. That's all it is. And then he tries to go on and say these are just a minority. It's just a small number of people who feel this way. That is not true either. That is not true. Majority of Americans are horrified by what's going on in Gaza and want to see it stop. That's the reality. Stop lying, dude. Stop lying.
the rest of America thinks they're so idiotic that this can't actually be dangerous or true. But it is dangerous, and they do believe these things. And if we do not speak up, they will continue to tell themselves this, and there will be a sense on their side that it's okay to push the boundaries and push the boundaries and push the boundaries. And so, as heinous as what these people are saying is, it exists in part because there are not enough people saying this is really dumb, this is hatred, and it will not be tolerated. Again, not eviscerating the First Amendment, but just using the First Amendment to say, hey, this is either stupid or hateful. It's very hard to know whether you're an idiot or you're a
this guy is so
or you're just
without
purely a hateful person.
A basis for what he's saying, that he's using words like it's really dumb, it's just stupid, and it's just idiotic, right? The guy doesn't have a vocabulary to actually explain his case without resorting to, this kind of like third grade level, like you're just dumb. It's just stupid, right? Like this is a CEO of a company, of a very powerful company, resorting to third grade language. You're just dumb. It's just dumb, and it's just stupid, and it's hateful. Okay.
But we disagree.
Anyways, and that whole game is just. Let's read this from Bella. Has a quote from Kevin Barrett. Sorry. What we're seeing right now is just not something out of the blue that started on October 7th, but it's been ongoing. It's an ongoing genocide, not only since 1947, but really for the past 500 years. Yeah. Yep. But the game is to insist that reality is one way, and all the people in power have to agree to never talk about things outside of this false reality that they've created, right? The whole the horrible day October 7th was like 9/11 or what I mean, all that stuff. But they have to create this this false reality, and everybody has to agree to only talk about it in these terms. And that way, and anything outside of it is like, while Iranian-backed, Hamas-supporting, anti-Semitism, hatred, right-wing, fascist, crazy, racist, blah, 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 blah. Even though they are actually the ones that are acting in a way that is racist, fascist, authoritarian, genocidal. They are the ones that are committing the atrocities, right? They're the ones that are acting in a hateful way. And they're using language to confuse people about what's really going on, which is that they are violent, hate-filled demons. I don't know. And eventually somebody needs to stand up to it. But anyways, I'm going to sign off, guys, because it's just the fact that I've made it this far in the show is kind of amazing. And Don't know that I have anybody else to thank today. Thanks, guys. Thanks for hanging out today. Thanks for being here. Rockfinners, I see you. Tor gave me another tip on Rockfin. Thank you, Tor. You are the champion right now. I really appreciate you. Tor is showing y'all how it's done. It's all good. No stress, guys. Support how you can, when you can, and however you support, I appreciate it. But thanks, Tor. Really very helpful. I really appreciate you. All right, guys, I got to sign off because I'm losing power to keep the show going. All right. Until I will see you all on Monday. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience, and thanks for the conversation. And if I can get my buttons to work, I can sign out of the show. Eventually we'll get there. No, we're not there yet. Hold on. We're going to get there. Everything is slowed down to a crawl. We're almost there. All right. Peace. I can't get any of my buttons to work. It's just that hot. Everything has slowed to a frozen crawl. See if I can get out of this. Here we go.